Welcome to the closed session portion of the City Council meeting. I am calling the meeting to order. The time is now 5:30 PM. Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Councilmember Gama,
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Here.
Councilmember Perez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Here.
And Mayor McQueen Lejeune.
Here. We will now hear public comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone who has a public comment?
No public comments for closed session.
Thank you. All right. Madam City Attorney, please read the closed session item into the record.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have one matter going into closed session tonight. That is a public employee performance evaluation. The position is for city attorney, and the authority for that is under Government Code Section 54957, subdivision B1.
Thank you. Do we have any members of council that have a conflict of interest to disclose for the listed closed session item on the agenda? Anyone? No. Okay. Well, we'll now recess into closed session. The time is now 5:31. Welcome to the City Council regular meeting. Hold on just a second. I'm calling a meeting to order at 6:30. Please stand and join me for the, join Councilmember Perez for the flag salute. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please take roll.
Councilmember Gama.
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez. Here. Councilmember Perez.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lopez.
Here.
And Mayor McQueen LaShawn.
Here. I have the awesome responsibility to give the inspiration for this evening, so I will do that. So we have entered and are halfway through the month of September, and that is the season of transition. So regardless of the year, September is often the month we tend to regroup after we push through the end of the summer. Hopefully you got a chance to do some traveling, whether it was just up the coast, road trip, or out of state, or out of the country. Whatever kind of trip, if you had the opportunity to take one, I hope that you were able to at least get some rejuvenation and get back to mid-September where we start to kind of push through to the end of the year. So again, whatever you did, I hope you got some time to be rejuvenated. The good news is that we've made it this far through this year. So let us remember that growth often comes through change and transition. And as a community, we have the opportunity to build on the progress we've made. And we have made a lot of progress this year. And let's prepare for the work ahead. This month and every month, let's celebrate our shared successes, honor the strength of our community and diversity, and look forward with determination. So together we will continue to create a thriving city where every voice matters and every neighbor belongs. So thank you. We're going to move on to our closed session report. Madam City Attorney, please provide the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There is one reportable action. On a 5-0 vote, the City Council has directed the city to go out for an RFP for the City Attorney Services. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now hear public comments not pertaining to the items on the agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have some public comments. First, we'll start with Becky Bruning, followed by Sarah Wachowski.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, staff, and audience. I'm representing Real Guppy Outdoors tonight. We're fixing to start a new program for 5th graders through high school, and a parent has to participate with the child. So for further information, you can go to our website. Our fourth Sunday, we will be out at the end of Wainimi Pier, teaching the kids and their families how to fish as usual from 8 to 11.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor McQueen LaShawn, City Council, and City staff. My name is Sarah Wachowski, and I am here again as part of 805 Immigrant Rapid Response Network and 805 and DocuFund. I'm here again asking you to take swift, tangible, and decisive action to support the immigrant community of Port Hueneme. The Supreme Court has lifted the temporary restraining order that prevented ICE from using racial profiling as probable cause. They can resume their roving patrols, stopping anyone they want, simply because of the color of their skin, their accent, or where they work. And on October 1st, they will be receiving additional funding, and their attacks on our families, friends, and neighbors will be increasing. Please act now. As I mentioned during the last meeting, roughly 60% of Port Huenemi's population identifies as Hispanic or Latino. This community is deeply tied to the city's neighborhoods, schools, and economy. Immigrant workers, including undocumented residents, are vital to the Port Hueneme economy, agriculture, and service industries. You are about to issue a National Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation. It's a beautiful way to recognize the Hispanic community. But how can they celebrate their heritage when they are being targeted for being Hispanic? Brutal immigration enforcement doesn't just harm families, but harms our economy as well. Undocumented immigrants in the county of Ventura contribute $8.2 billion to the local economy, 5% of the GDP. They paid $25.7 billion into Social Security, and $6.4 billion into Medicare, and $1.8 billion into unemployment insurance in 2022. Programs they are often ineligible to participate in. We need to support our vulnerable immigrant communities at every level of government. We ask you to take action right now. Continue to investigate what other cities are doing and to stand up for their immigrant communities. Host a forum where these issues can be openly discussed and action can be taken. Moorpark has hosted an immigration resources workshop. Santa Paula has created an immigration committee. Oxnard and several other communities have offered their support to the Vasquez-Perdomo v. Nome lawsuit. Please consider signing a common interest agreement with the plaintiffs. Please consider allocating a portion of the Community Benefit Fund towards immigrant legal defense and education. There is so much that can be done to support our immigrant community. Investigating these options is just a start. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ronald Arejo, and then followed by Bobby Martinez.
Good evening, Mayor McQueen-Lejeune, Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, council members, staff, and the public. My name is Ronald Arwejo, and I'm speaking as one of the board members of the Filipino American Council of Ventura County, inviting you and all residents to the Filipino American Fiesta to be held at the Ventura County Museum next month on Sunday, October 19. Since its inception in 1987, the council has played a pivotal role in fostering communication among member organizations, serving as a central hub for coordination and representation. Committed to promoting harmony and understanding within the Filipino American community in Ventura County, the council is dedicated to encouraging active participation in various spheres of community life, including civic, economic, cultural, social, and charitable programs. The council is the umbrella organization for 13 Filipino American clubs, championing the engagement of member organizations in projects aimed at enhancing the general well-being of the Filipino American community, thereby ensuring its continued growth and prosperity and serving as a cornerstone of Filipino American identity and representation in Port Hueneme and all throughout Ventura County. The Filipino American Fiesta is a free event to celebrate culture and community. It will be a vibrant afternoon filled with inspiring speakers, traditional Filipino dance performances, and delicious snacks. Discover the rich history and diverse stories of Filipino Americans through music, art, and conversation. In honor of Filipino American History Month in October, this is the first time that the Museum of Ventura County will host this event to bring the history of the past for us to learn in the present and to act positively in the future. The Filipino American Council of Ventura County invites you to learn more at the Fiesta on Sunday, October 19 at the Ventura County Museum. I'll be passing out some handouts of the event to the city clerk to pass along to you all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bobby Martinez.
Good evening, Mayor McQueen-Lejeune, Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, City Council, City staff, and members of the public. My name is Bobby Martinez, and I'm here tonight representing REACH as the Vice President, along with our Treasurer, Tom Fiala. And we would like to share some great news with you all. With the gracious generosity of our community and the help of our Chief Federico, we were able to fundraise about $42,000 so that the city of Port Hueneme can have much needed K9 specifically for sniffing out drugs and preventing them from entering our city. I also want to make it clear that these are not city funds. These are funds that were donated from the generous community and our neighbors, many of which are here today. I also have a letter from the president of REACH, Rich Rollins. That's probably what he would have sounded. I'm just kidding. I cannot be here today as we are celebrating my wife's birthday out of town. However, as president of REACH, I am very thankful and excited regarding the support of our local community for their support in raising over $40,000, nearly 3 times more than our initial goal to purchase, train, house, and care for a new police dog. The new dog will be used to identify dangerous drugs, including fentanyl, that has become a major crisis in our community. We hope that this action will reduce crime as well as save the lives of people in our community. REACH is dedicated to identifying needs and taking action to lead projects that improve the quality of life in our community. We encourage members of the community to contact REACH to share their ideas and, most importantly, to be part of the solution by volunteering and donating funds. Thank you, President of REACH, Rich Rollins. So tonight, we respectively ask the council to consider agendizing our donation at your next meeting so that together we can officially present the check and move forward with bringing this vital resource to our community. Thank you for your time and continued service to the city of Port Hueneme. Keep it up.
Great, thank you. Thank you.
Greg Ross, and then followed by Ron Carew.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, esteemed city council members. First of all, that's a great cause, and we support it 100%. It's good for the community. I want to say that this city, more than any city I've ever lived in, is very responsive. So a couple months ago, I made a point of saying that there's a lot of truckers that park on our city streets, especially where we live, because it's right next to the entrance of the port. And just like that, boom, they're not parked there anymore. So someone, Chief Federico, I hope someone did something. And this is what I expect from the city, because every time I make a statement, it seems like there's a response, very positive response. So tonight I passed out a little 4-page flyer from California Air Resources Board, who were here on September 9th and 10th. Out on Hueneme Road and Rice Avenue. They stopped 237 trucks. 9%, a little over 9%, were in non-compliance for emissions. This is where we live, and if the truckers can't follow the rules and the laws for emissions, then where do we go with this? So you've got the stats. It's from the California Air Resources Board. I know they're independent truckers, and trucking is a difficult business right now, but nevertheless, my health is important, and so are all of ours. So I'd like you to know about this. It's important. The truckers have to be reined in. The port takes the attitude that, oh no, the truckers, independent contractors, we can't do anything about it. I spoke to Mike Morrison face to face, and he told me that every single truck the license plate is scanned, and they say that it's a clean scan, and they let the truck in, even though the California Air Resources Board says it differently. So there you have the stats, and I hope that you take this into consideration in your dealings with the port. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Okay, Ron.
Hello. Hi, mayors, council members. So I'm here representing a place called Nate's Place, and I'm one of the board members there. And the reason I'm here is because about 3 months ago or so, I was here and I also presented, it has to do with the community fund that we applied to. And the board here went through a process of identifying, I think it was different tiers, and we were tier 1, and all that was good. And then I don't know what happened. I tried to find out. I can't really find out, so that's why I'm here to see what is the process there. Is that still in place? Is something happening? I haven't had any communication from anybody on it since that one meeting that I attended, so I'm here to find out what should I be doing.
City Attorney?
So,
I'm sorry, City Manager.
thank you for reaching out. There is a sort of a two-step process with those funds. The first step is the city puts its list together of projects that it proposes for the funding. Then the second step is we meet with the port, and then we have to agree on what projects get funded. So we are currently on that second step. So at this point, we expect over the next couple of months to have more clarity on what projects both agencies agree on. But right now, we've put our list together, and we're waiting for that second step with the port. So,
Okay, thank you. I just didn't realize that it was that long of a process, I guess.
it's been a little different this year. So I think with your point, that we will we'll reach out to everybody and let them know sort of the timeline, and then we'll connect again when we have a final answer.
Yeah, thank you. It'd be nice to have some communication to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then we just have 2 written public comments. The first one is from Kendall Lawson. Greetings, Honorable Mayor McQueen Lejean, council members, city staff, and members of the public. For the admin record, my name is Kendall Lawson, and I'm the Installation Community Planning and Liaison Officer with Naval Base Ventura County, NBVC. On behalf of NBVC, we are pleased to share a brief announcement about the Gray Flag Test event that NBVC Point Mugu is currently hosting from September 5th through September 19th, 2025. Residents of Ventura County will notice increased aircraft activity and noise as NBVC Point Mugu hosts Gray Flag Test event. Multi-service aircraft, surface vessels, and unmanned systems will be participating, staging, and launching from Point Mugu. Aircraft participating in the event will operate largely during regular airfield hours, but extended airfield hours will be required to support some test events. Gray Flag test operations are expected to last approximately 2 weeks, September 5th through September 19th, 2025. Residents in Camarillo and Oxnard may experience increased noise levels during peak times. NBVC is major shore warfighting platform, providing sustained, ready forces to deploy, fight, and win. Composed of 3 operating facilities, Point Mugu, Port Hueneme, and San Nicolas Island, and home of the Pacific Seabees, West Coast E-2D Hawkeyes, 3 warfare centers, and 110 tenant commands. Information is being shared to Facebook at www.facebook.com/Naval Base Ventura County. In observance of some misinformation that was previously shared by the Ventura County Department of Airports, NBVC would like to take this opportunity and reaffirm the duration for this Gray Flag test event to our local elected leaders, city staff, and to members of the community. The Navy's Gray Flag test event will end on September 19th, not September 21st. Please direct all media inquiries and public comments to NBVC Public Affairs Officer at email andrew.a.verbis.civ@us.navy.mil and NBVC Community Planning Liaison Officer at email kendall.p.lawson.civ@us.navy.mil. Thank you for your time to receive a brief announcement from NBVC as it relates to the temporary increase in aircraft activity at around NBVC Point Mugu. Very respectfully, Kendall P. Lawson. And the next one is from Jeffrey Scarberry. At the last council meeting, I requested clarification regarding a public statement on August 26 by Councilmember Hernandez to the County Board of Supervisors that the Port Hueneme City Council had voted to support some items on their agenda that day. Thank you to Mayor McQueen Lejean and City Manager Vega for confirming that, in fact, no such vote had taken place, as that would have been a violation of the Brown Act. Councilmember Hernandez characterized her comments as an inconsequential misstatement that wasn't worth spending much time on. I respectfully disagree. Even the appearance of such a Brown Act violation is highly inappropriate and reflects on the entire council's ethical integrity. In my opinion, it's important to publicly acknowledge that fact and to strive for full transparency going forward. Additionally, based on comments made during the last meeting's discussion, it's unclear whether Mayor Pro Tem Lopez understood the distinction between voting to put an item on a future meeting agenda and actually voting on the merits of the item itself in an open public forum. If that is the case, perhaps some enhanced Brown Act training would be appropriate. Thank you for listening, and thank you to our local, state, and federal law enforcement officers. Jeffrey Scarberry, retired California State Peace Officer, badge number 6705, California State Bar number 174270. And that concludes general public comments.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the agenda approval. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Great, thank you. Madam Clerk, can we get a roll, please?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. Does any member of the council have a conflict of interest to disclose regarding any of the agenda items? No? If not, we'll move on to our first presentation. I'd like to welcome Gold Coast Transit District General Manager, Ms. Vanessa Rauschenberger. Who's going to provide us an annual update. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor McQueen Lejean and council. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to give an annual update today. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So for the record, I'm Vanessa Rauschenberger. I'm the General Manager of Gold Coast Transit District. Thank you to the City of Port Hueneme for being a member of the district and a part of this community. So our mission, serving, moving, and connecting people to opportunity, one ride at a time. Our team takes that mission very seriously in all that we do, from serving all of Western Ventura County with our fixed route bus and also our curb-to-curb services known as Access. Where we go, we serve the cities of Ojai, Oxnard, Port Hueneme, Ventura, and the County of Ventura. We have 17 routes. We have 61 full-size buses, 28 vans, and we employ over 228 employees. I'm very proud of our team. Our bus operators are dedicated to their riders. They're dedicated to the work that they do in maintaining and keeping our fleet in good shape, making sure that they're responsive, and then they provide great customer service. So I just want to give a shout out to our amazing bus operator team. We are led by a great board of directors, and this year I want to thank our chair, Mayor McQueen Lejean, for providing her great leadership. And just a little bit of history, I won't go too deep into the history, but just to give you an overview, Gold Coast Transit District was founded in 1973, originally as South Coast Area Transit. The cities of Ojai, Oxnard, Port Hueneme, and Ventura decided to join forces to operate a consolidated public transit system. In 2014, that system was formalized with legislation that formed the Gold Coast Transit District. Today, each member jurisdiction appoints one board member and one staff to our technical advisory committee to help facilitate and guide our budget, strategic plans, and our policies. And I want to thank the Public Works team at the City of Port Hueneme. Throughout the many years that we've worked with the city, they've been very responsive, working with us and guiding us in the work that we do. For 2026, our board priorities that we adopted include focusing on operational efficiencies, including implementing the beginning phases of our short-range transit plan, looking at our organizational structure, ensuring compliance, maximizing the space at our new facility, making sure that we're making best use of that space. One of the ways we did that this past year is we transitioned our demand response services in-house with our fixed route. That really helped help us with efficiency in terms of training and oversight. And then as I'm sure you do as well, focusing on budget management and making sure we're making the best use of the funding that we have allocated to us. A little bit on our sources of funding. Contrary to popular belief, public transit is not funded primarily by passenger fares, although that is an important part of our budget. Only about 10 to 15% of our budget actually comes from fares. Majority of our funds come from a combination of federal formula funds and state funds coming from the Transportation Development Act, as well as funds from things such as the Cap and Trade or also Cap and Invest program. This year, our operating budget is just over $40 million. That includes, as I mentioned, state, federal, passenger fares, as well as other small sources of funding that come from things such as advertising, recycling, gas rebates, that sort of thing. The majority of our budget, as you might expect, goes into services. So our bus operators, as I mentioned, bus operators, mechanics make up the majority of those 228 employees. We have about 18 administrative staff. And then we have our utilities, fuel, and those sorts of things. We also have a process by which funding comes back to each member agency. So each year we have a process by which member jurisdictions through the Technical Advisory Committee request funds for their locally operated transit needs or transit amenities. So things like bus stop maintenance, bus stop amenities, services, so if there are services provided, maintaining the transit centers, and that helps our system have a safe and inviting places for people to wait to board the bus. This is just a quick snapshot of one of the beautiful bus stops in Port Hueneme, and just a picture of one of the regular bus stops. The sign on the left shows what Gold Coast Transit bus stop looks like. So when you see the numbers there on the sign, that gives you an indication of where that bus is headed. And great shelters there. Again, one of the things that we work with each city is to make sure that there are amenities at locations where there are lots of riders. We want to make sure they have a safe place to wait. One of our big efforts, as you may know, the state has challenged the transit agencies to begin the process of transitioning to zero emissions. We are beginning that process first with, in 2023, we were awarded a federal grant for $12 million to begin that process. With that, we are in the planning stage of a hydrogen station at our facility. Currently, our buses are fueled by compressed natural gas, and we have an on-site fueling station. We are looking to build next to that station a hydrogen fuel station, and we'll be purchasing our first 5 hydrogen fuel electric buses that we'll be hoping to put into service in early 2027. I do want to note that one of the benefits of having a CNG station is the ability to partner with municipal agencies. So last year, the board passed a process where we can offer the station through partnership to fuel municipal vehicles that use CNG. And so the city of Oxnard has been using the fuel station to fuel its refuse vehicles. And I know that we're in discussion with the City of Port Hueneme Public Works as well. In case there are vehicles that need to be fueled, we have that station available. We participate in many events throughout the community. We have Earth Day, Ventura College, Oxnard College, Senior Center, back to school events. If there are events in the community that you have lots of people going to, many times you will find us there with our booth. And so just proud to be there to provide information for people who would like to try public transit, even if they've never before. We always welcome people to give it a try. Ridership on our buses. This past year, we had just over 3.5 million riders, a slight increase over the previous year. Our passengers per hour increased from 19 to almost 20 passengers per hour. So what that means is for every hour a bus is on the road, on average, there are about 20 passengers in that bus. So there are peak times of the day when their buses are packed, and maybe there are peak sometimes of the day when they're empty, but overall about 20 passengers per hour is our goal, and I will say that we're very close to meeting that. And it's pretty remarkable for an agency of our size and a community like ours to be at that level of productivity, so I'm very proud that we are close to meeting that. Some trends in our ridership over the years. You can see here, this is a 25-year history of ridership. Although we have our peaks and valleys, the greener areas are the higher ridership years. You can see the impact that COVID-19 had on public transit in Ventura County. We went down to under 2 million riders in the height of the pandemic, but I'm proud to say that last year we far exceeded our pre-pandemic year, so we're very happy to be on that right path up again. In Port Hueneme, we have several routes that serve this community. I mentioned we have 17 routes that connect all throughout Western Ventura County, but the main ones that serve Port Hueneme include Route 1, which connects to the Oxnard Transit Center down to the beach. It's our second most popular route in the entire system. Route 21, which is in our top 5 most popular routes, connects Center Point Mall, goes down Channel Islands, up Victoria, all the way to Ventura. And then we have Route 23, which connects Oxnard College all the way up to the Esplanade, and it also connects to going down Ventura Road. As I mentioned, last year we approved our short-range transit plan. It's a 5-year plan to look at our routes and to make the service as efficient as possible and faster. There are some route concepts that were developed with community input. Public outreach is ongoing and will include outreach this year in Port Hueneme as we plan for the next year, which will begin our first phase of implementation. And just generally, bus service, just so you all know and the community knows, it's $2 a ride. You can ride for up to 2 hours per ticket. It's $1 for people with disabilities and seniors 65. It's free for seniors who are 75 and older, and it's also free for youth or 18, as well as local college students. Our service operates 7 days a week, typically between the hours of about 4:50 a.m. to 10 p.m. And you can pay via cash or through a mobile app. As I mentioned, the Youth Ride Free, this is a grant-funded program that's county-wide in partnership with VCTC. The funding for this program comes from the Cap and Trade program through the Low Carbon Transit Operations Program. It reimburses all transit agencies for youth to ride free, and I'm happy to report that it looks like that program is going to be able to be continued. So this is a great program if you have teenagers in your household or college students, a way for them to get around at no charge. We also offer our curb-to-curb service. This is through Go Access. It's a curb-to-curb shared ride. It's reservations-based. The travel time will be similar to riding the bus, and it's for people who are 65 and older or who are ADA certified, and the fare is $4 a ride. Other services we offer include our Safe Ride service, and this is for early AM service or late PM service after 7 p.m. It's the same service as Access as curb to curb, but it's open to the general public. A lot of times people who use this service ride the fixed route to work, and then maybe they get out of work late and they need a curb to curb ride home, so we offer this as that option. We also offer a service called Health Zones for people who may not qualify for Access. They may not qualify due to age, or they don't have a permanent disability. They are also able to use the curb-to-curb service for health-related reasons at just a zoned-based fare. how to schedule a ride, you can call us at our reservation line day before, and same-day rides are subject to availability. You can reach us online through our customer service phone line. You can email us. And then lastly, you can also email me directly if you have any questions. Once again, I want to thank you for the opportunity with all that you have going on to give you an overview of Gold Coast and our services. And thank you, and I'll take any questions that you might have.
Great. Are there any questions for Ms. Rauschenberger? Any questions?
I have one question.
Go ahead, Councilmember Hernandez.
I was really impressed to hear that Route 1 from the Oxnard Transit Center to Wainimi is their second most popular route in the system. I think that's an economic initiative we should look at it as an economic initiative and see what we can do to increase ridership there. My question is, do you see increased ridership on days when we have, is there a way of measuring that, when we have our beach festival or the banana festival?
Yes, we do. We do see ridership go up during special event days. We see ridership go down when the weather is bad. So we do definitely see the fluctuations for events, weather, when school's in session, during summertime. Right now is one of our busiest time, October, and end of September, October is the peak of transit ridership with back to school, with a lot of festivals coming back online. Is right when we see our peak ridership.
Thank you, and thank you for taking your evening out to be here with us.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
Great. Councilmember Gama.
I have a quick comment and a question. Recently, my mom started using the Go Access, I think it is, and I was a little reluctant to have her use it, and I just want to say that my 83-year-old mom could navigate the system all by herself, and it works very well, and it's given her a feeling of independence, not having to rely on me to go to medical appointments, and it's really fulfilling just to witness my mom have that. So along those lines, that's such a great, valuable service. Is it doing better than anticipated? And I just want to, are you coming up with new ideas to market it and make sure everyone's aware of it?
Yeah, I mean, we are definitely want to make sure that everyone is aware of the service, that the services that we offer. The ridership is doing very well on our access and especially our late night service. We started that was a new service that we started in the pandemic, the late night service, when we realized that a lot of the doctor appointments were starting to happen remotely, and ridership just dropped on that curb-to-curb service. We didn't want to have to lay off our drivers, or we wanted to be able to continue the use of our vehicles, and so we innovated with the late night service. But access service is really well utilized, and so we just want to make sure that the public knows that it's available to them.
Yeah, and I think I noticed in June your numbers were really low, 252,000. Is there June's a low ridership month?
Typically, in June is when youth ridership drops since school is out of session. So our summertime is when ridership will dip down typically, and then it peaks back up as soon as school starts again. Youth, since the institution of the Youth Ride Free program, make up over 30% of our riders are now college age or under. And so it's a very big impact the school seasons have on.
Do you have numbers of the students that you transport to school? Because I noticed I've seen it out in front of Oxnard High several.
Yes, we do. We count all those youth rides, and we're reimbursed for their fares from the state cap and trade program. So it's an important program to us.
Great. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, the route maps that are in front of the bus stops, are they legible? Because someone told me that they're hard to read.
It depends on the type of map. So some of the maps, if they're not legible because of like a graffiti or something like that, let us know, because we go and we'll replace the cover and make sure they're clear. Our staff will go out and do that. If they're not legible because of just the design, I mean, that's good feedback. If we hear that it might be a confusing map to read. Typically, they're line maps, so it will show the stops coming up from that point forward. So we always take the feedback that we get on making sure the maps are readable.
So does the app show the route as well?
Yes, so there are many apps out there that are available to use. There's the transit app, there's the GoVC Bus app, and they have all the the apps will show the actual location of the bus. It will show the line that the route goes on and where it's headed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation.
No problem.
Great. Any other questions? No? Thank you, Ms. Rauschenberger.
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
presentation. Yes. Okay, we're going to move to our next number 2 presentation. We're going to have our Mayor Pro Tem to read National Hispanic Heritage Month proclamation.
Okay, so I'm going to read the proclamation for National Hispanic Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th, 2025. Whereas each year Americans observe National Hispanic and Latino American Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th by celebrating the histories, culture, and contributions of American citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Central and South America. And whereas the 2025 Hispanic Heritage Month theme is Collective Heritage, honoring the past, inspiring the future. And whereas September 15th is significant because it marks the anniversary of independence from the Latin American countries of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. In addition, Mexico, Chile, and Belize celebrate their independence days on September 16th, 18th, and 21st, respectively. And Columbus Day, or Dia de la Raza, which is October 12th, falls within the 30-day period. And whereas Hispanics and Latinos have and continue to serve as civil rights leaders, educators, public servants, business owners, activists, artists, colleagues, friends, and much more in our community and across the world. And whereas California is home to more than 15 million Hispanic and Latino American residents who comprise 40% of the state's population, making them California's largest ethnic minority. And whereas we observe Hispanic Heritage Month, the city encourages all members of the community to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of Hispanics in our community and the importance of social justice, fair representation for the Hispanic community in all aspects of city life and experiences. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Port Hueneme does hereby proclaim September 15th, 2025 through October 15th, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month in Port Hueneme to celebrate the history, culture, and contributions that Hispanics and Latino communities have made to American society and the city of Port Hueneme. Proclaim the 15th day of September, 2025.
Great, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We'll now move to the consent calendar, which will be enacted in one motion unless a council member would like to remove an item for discussion. Any?
I have a question on item number 5, the Register of Disbursements.
Okay. Do you want to pull that? Or do you
Sure,
wanna
just real quick.
Let's go ahead and pull number 5, please. And so, is there anyone else?
Move.
Oh, go
I also had comments on
on number 5.
number 5.
Okay, so we'll pull number 5. Is there a motion to approve items 3, 4, 6, and 7?
Move to approve items 3, 4, 6, and 7.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Mayor,
Great.
I was just going to run to the back real quick and get my ice pack, if that's okay.
Okay, sure. So we're going to go back to, he'll be right back. We'll go back to item number 5, Register of Disbursements.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just quick question under check number 29521, California JPIA. There's a payment of $7,565 for 2526 pollution liability insurance program. I've never seen that before. Can you explain what that is? I don't question the expenditure, I just want to know about the program.
Yes. I think it's been in place for a couple of years. But when we receive the bills from CJPIA, there's a few premiums that we pay on, and one, I think it was a program new-ish a few years back, was they do have a pollution liability program that they ask all cities to participate in. So that's the premium for that program. We can get more information on the program and some more specifics on it, and bring that at the next council meeting if
Okay,
desired.
yeah, I would like to know what it covers, and
Yeah. Okay.
it's unusual. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not something that's been around for very long, to my recollection. So.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, so on page 8, there is check number 141950. It has several charges to Platinum Towing and Transport for storage, towing and storage services, and there's, $310 per charge. What are we storing, or what are we towing?
Yes, and I believe that's actually the fees that we pay to store towed vehicles. I'm not sure if maybe Frank, might have a little bit more information. Thank you, Frank.
No problem. Evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. So that monthly fee that we have, those are storage for our homicide vehicles that we have, or for our fatal traffic accidents. So per the California law and the statute, for any criminal cases or homicides that we have that are open or unsolved, we have to maintain that evidence indefinitely. So that's why we have those monthly charges on them, because we have to store them at the tow yard until either a case is adjudicated or filed, or we maintain it until an investigation comes on for those vehicles.
So those were multiple cars, or is it just
Multiple,
one?
correct. So I believe there should be a total of 7 to 9 vehicles that we have right now currently at Platinum Tow, and it's a recurring charge every month. It's $310 per vehicle that we have towed there as well, in storage there.
Right. And frustratingly, if I can add, because we actually looked at these during the budget, and we were trying to figure out if there was savings, but it's potentially, it could be years and years, if not decades, right?
Correct, yeah. So like if we have, there's like on some of those vehicles that we have, they're unsolved homicides, so it could be 20, 30 years that we have to maintain because of the statute of limitations on those type of cases.
And there's no reimbursements of any kind?
No, the only ones where, so for example, if there's like a fatal accident for a fatal traffic accident that involved like a DUI or certain arrest, typically what happens is once a case is filed with the district attorney's office, we then hand over custody to the DA's office, and they assume the payments for the vehicle. So these are all vehicles that don't have cases to them right now. If not, they would have been transferred over to the DA's office already.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Oh, is there a follow-up question?
Oh, go ahead. Did you have another question?
I had one
Yeah,
more.
go ahead.
Well,
Was
it
it
wasn't
okay,
regarding.
hold on.
Okay.
Was it about this
Yeah.
topic?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'm just interested to know, like, when would the vehicles be disposed of?
So as of right now, so like I said, the majority of them are for homicides. There's no statute of limitation. Right now, the statute of limitation is deemed indefinite, or 99 years is what a retention is. So even like here in the police department, in our property room, we have homicide evidence from the 1970s that are still here because they're open cases and we can dispose of them.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Go. Mayor
Yeah,
Pro Tem.
so this is something else.
Okay.
Okay, but thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for the explanation. One other thing I had was the junior lifeguard trip, Island Packers. Can you explain that?
Yes, and we actually talked about doing potentially doing a newsletter item or something to talk about this. I'm going to ask Charles, who works with the Recreation Department, to give a little bit of more background on that.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council members. So the Island Packers is part of a trip program that the Junior Lifeguard Program goes on. That's the payment that the city makes. Fees are collected from registrants in the program that help offset the fee, but that's the check payment that's made by the city to the group that hosts the field trip.
Yeah, and if I can add, because we talked about this as well, that, we're looking at every expense very closely, and so obviously, right now when we see expenses like that are maybe optional, we look at those, but to the point in our conversation and to our point that our deputy city manager just mentioned is the fees that we collect actually pay for the trip. So at this time, because the program is covered by those fees, it's not a savings if we didn't do it. So it's just something that we think is positive for the junior lifeguards. So.
Got it. Okay.
Any other questions? No?
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other questions, is there a motion and a second for item number 5 of the consent calendar?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Councilmember Perez? Who did you get? Okay, because I heard them both at the same time, sorry.
Okay.
No other discussion? Okay, go ahead with the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. We'll move on to item number 8, pavement management and truck route life cycle cost analysis. Mr. Camarillo.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, audience, and staff. Just a brief overview on this, and then I'm going to turn it over to our Deputy Director, Charles Cable / City Engineer, to go over the technical details. But what you have before you tonight is going to be a discussion about our pavement management program and life cycle costs, with a specific focus on our truck routes, which are the ones that are more heavily used and more susceptible to wear because of the heavy traffic that drives across them, and the sheer numbers, because they are arterial roads, so they see the most traffic. And with that, I will turn it over to Charles to go ahead and go through the specific details of that. And there's also a grand jury report that came out regarding some of the other local cities that they looked at their best management practices and how deferring some of those can end up costing a lot more money than not handling the problems as you see them.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor McQueen Lejean, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, members of the public, and staff. In your council packet, you have an excerpt of the grand jury report on pavement management and the city's proposed pavement management on truck routes. The intent of this presentation is to provide information on the city's truck routes and a maintenance strategy for our truck routes over the life of the pavement. Before we get started, I want to actually point out there's an error on the staff report. It lists Port Hueneme Road as the cost over the life of 26 years is $10.78 million. That number should actually read $8.2 million. And then the total cost for all truck routes says it's projected at $131.2 million. That's actually $98.9 million. And
Can you say those numbers one more time, please?
sure. So Port Hueneme Road is estimated to cost approximately $8.2 million, not $10.78.
Okay.
And then the cost for all truck routes is projected at $98.9 million, not $131.2.
Thank you.
And that comes out to approximately $3.8 million per year.
And the dollar amounts in the attached full plan are correct, but the dollar amount on page 1 of the staff report is the numbers he's referring to.
Okay.
Yes, on the staff report. That's correct. There's also one more error. On the executive summary of the 2025 pavement management truck routes, it should not read 128.6, it's 98.9 million. That's the third sentence, or the fourth sentence of the executive summary.
So you already saved us $30 million.
Yeah. So I'll correct that and then resubmit that.
Thank you.
Okay. So the analysis that we performed is based on typical pavement design assumptions, the actual maintenance practices, and actual potential costs. So we had to make some assumptions there. I'm going to bring up, as Fred mentioned, the recently released Ventura Grand Jury Report. It was released in July of this year. I'm going to talk about where our truck routes, the heavy vehicle impacts, the Port Hueneme Road pavement condition, our pavement maintenance strategy, Port Hueneme Road maintenance schedule, and then finally the cost to maintain all these truck routes. So like I mentioned, in June of this year, Ventura County released its civil grand jury report. To give some background, the Ventura County Civil Grand Jury is an independent investigative body that is charged with investigating matters of civil concern countywide and to ensure the best interests of county residents are being served. Sometimes topics are generated from complaints, monitoring agency meetings, or observing local events. The Civil Grand Jury report covers a variety of topics, including prioritizing best practice street maintenance. The report investigated the pavement conditions of Camarillo, Oxnard, Santa Paula, Simi Valley, and Ventura. What really came out of this report is that cities should be performing less costly preventative maintenance more often so that more expensive maintenance or reconstruction is not needed. The report also discusses funding sources and how much cities are allocating to streets. The city has approximately 5.6 miles of truck routes: Ventura Road, Port Hueneme Road, Pleasant Valley west of Ventura Road, Channel Islands, and northbound Victoria. That map up there just illustrates where our truck routes out are located. A four-door sedan weighs approximately 3,500 pounds. The average vehicle weighs 4,500 pounds. Electric vehicles are considerably heavier and over time will result in more pavement deterioration. California Vehicle Code limits vehicles to 80,000 pounds. That is the maximum amount a fully loaded semi weighs. This is a chart that shows the comparative damage some of these fully loaded trucks do to pavement when compared to a regular passenger vehicle. One legal 80,000 pound gross vehicle weight tractor trailer does as much damage to road pavement as 9,600 cars. I want to stress this, that's not the number or volume of cars, it's actually the equivalent single axle load. It's just a representation of the damage effect, so it's not 9,600 cars. This is a picture of eastbound Port Hueneme Road we took in April. This is severe alligator cracking and demonstrates that the pavement is severely distressed. The city has started preliminary design on Port Hueneme Road, and an engineer's estimate was prepared with an estimated cost of $2.4 million. The projected expenses for Port Hueneme Road are consistent with the cost outlined in the grand jury's report. The preliminary design calls for 8 inches of asphalt, with the top 2 inches being an asphalt rubber mix. The typical service life of an asphalt road is between 20 and 30 years. Our records that we could find indicate that Port Hueneme Road is at least over 35 years old. We've prepared a construction and maintenance schedule for the replacement of Port Hueneme Road, which includes years when we do major preventative maintenance, and that's what that table shows there. So if we reconstruct Hueneme Road next year in 2026 and follow this maintenance schedule, we should be able to preserve pavement well until 2051. To determine the cost for Port Hueneme Road, we needed to prepare a schedule over a 26-year period. The cost accounts for inflation and came out to $8.2 million, with much of the cost being on the first year where we do the reconstruction and at the end of the life cycle when we reconstruct again. This isn't set in stone because there's different technologies that come out, so this maintenance schedule is subject to change. These are some of the major rehabilitations that we will be performing over the life of the pavement. Asphalt rejuvenation is a fairly newer technology that adds moisture to existing pavement, but it's cheaper than a slurry seal or a pavement overlay. The slurry seal is something you may have seen before. We recently did westbound Channel Islands. It's the application of a thin slurry mixture with aggregate, asphalt, and water. An asphalt overlay involves the placement of a new layer of asphalt. And then reconstruction is the complete removal and replacement of the existing pavement. And this is what's being proposed for Port Hueneme Road. This is actually routine pavement management where we're doing crack filling. We're actually doing that today, and we did it last week on Ventura Road. That's our street maintenance crew on Ventura Road. We basically have to do this on an annual basis. We do this to prevent water from entering the structural section, basically. We also do pothole repair, and it's spot treatments for holes in the street that occur primarily from water infiltrating the pavement. Using the data we obtained from Port Hueneme Road and applying it to the 5.6 miles of truck routes over a 26-year period, The total cost is estimated to be $98.9 million, which equates to roughly $3.8 million a year. The city's Public Works Department has applied for a grant to help fund the initial construction for Port Hueneme Road. The Surface Transportation Block Grant announcement and award are anticipated by the end of this year. The next steps for us is we're gonna monitor the grant timeline. We're gonna collect additional PCI data, and that's the ratings of the road, of how, that's to collect the PCI data from all streets utilizing the funding from the recently awarded Safe Streets for All grant. We're going to implement the scheduled maintenance plan post-reconstruction, and we're going to coordinate with regional agencies for funding, design, and letters of support. With that, willing to take any questions.
Great. Are there any questions, Councilmember Perez?
Yes, I was looking at number 3, impact of heavy trucks. It says the Ventura County Freight Corridor Study dated 2021 indicates that the daily truck trip at the main gate is about 1,600. Is that still the same of 2024 or now, or would you say it's?
I'm not sure because that was an unusual time. That was like during the COVID year too. And it was in January. So I think that's subject to change. There's several reports out. But that was the best data we had available to go off of.
Councilmember Gama.
Do we have any estimate as to, let's just say there were no port truck traffic, would the need for this maintenance schedule be different?
I'd say yes. The reconstruction cost, it's a thicker section of asphalt. The maintenance schedule covers reconstruction, so we're putting 8 inches of asphalt down. We wouldn't do that typically with a truck route.
You wouldn't?
No. The typical sections are 3 to 4 inches.
Okay. I thought you said 8 inches.
Oh, for a truck route. We wouldn't do that if it wasn't a truck route. We'd probably put 3 to 4 inches down instead of 8.
Okay. And then I'm under the assumption that a typical vessel carrying bananas, I've heard that they carry between 600 and 800 containers. And I asked ChatGPT today what the harvester vessel capacity is, and it says 1,276, which I find kind of hard to believe. But I've actually tried to count how many, because it's amazing that to think that there's 600 cans in that ship. So one ship then, according to my numbers, is responsible for 9,800 truckloads. And then if we were to extrapolate the number of truck trips from the port for a year, it would be, I don't know what it would be. It'd be very, very heavy. So 2 questions. Has a study ever been done to consider constructing Hueneme Road like the freeway? And also, is there any study that determines if a 80,000 pound truck is 9,600 vehicles, then the need for maintenance is most impacted by the port traffic? I think that's what I come away thinking. I'd like to know your thoughts on that.
Well, that's a good question. We did explore concrete, but it is more expensive. And they do have concrete streets in the city of Ventura. If you drive over concrete streets, there's more joints, so we'll probably get more noise, and the residents probably wouldn't like that. The other big issue with that is we're always cutting up the road for utilities. So we'd have more maintenance costs to cut concrete. And you can actually see that in some of the streets in Ventura. They used to do that more often back in the day.
Right, and I noticed that Hueneme Road between the port and the edge of the city looks like a puzzle. It's been crack-filled so many times. So at what point, I guess we're at that point where, okay, crack filling is no longer the preferred route. And then my last question is, as a council member, as a resident of Port Hueneme, I want our city to have the highest quality roads possible. And I believe we had that years ago. And I remember the joke was, how do you know when you're in Hueneme? The road turns good. And the roads used to be phenomenal, and I think we're at the end of the life cycle. So is your report geared for providing the highest quality road possible?
Right. That's what it's meant to do, yes. And that's what the grand jury report finds that all cities should do. They should try to maintain an average PCI of 80, and that means maintaining the streets before they get to a state of disrepair like this.
Okay, and so the numbers aren't quite making sense to me. So basically, I think what I've read and heard is that it's about 3-point-something million per year.
3.8 million.
To maintain the highest quality roads.
And to reconstruct the road, yeah.
And that's just Hueneme Road? Or is it Hueneme and Ventura and Channel Islands?
That's all of them, all the truck routes.
It's the truck routes.
The
But
truck
then
routes.
what that doesn't include is all of the other streets that are not truck routes.
Right. It does not include all the residential streets. It's just Victoria, Port Hueneme Road, Pleasant Valley, and Port Hueneme.
What about Channel Islands?
And Channel Islands.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this report focused on truck routes. I think we had a question from the council earlier this year of like, how expensive is it to maintain the truck routes? What are we planning to do with the truck routes? And so this report was intended to answer that question. And I think the outcome, that I took away from it is I knew that streets were getting more expensive, but streets have gotten very expensive. And I think we tried to be really fair and careful with our estimates, but I think inflation could even drive our cost estimates up. I think 26 years from now, we say to reconstruct Hueneme Road, we estimated pretty conservatively $3.5 million, and I could see in 26 years that cost being significantly higher. So this is a good, fair estimate, but the reality is it's getting more and more expensive to maintain our streets. Truck routes in particular, and I think this was one of the key points I wanted to highlight, is truck routes are built to a higher standard, and I don't think most people realize that, so they're even more expensive than other streets. So it's definitely something we have to start planning for. The grand jury didn't highlight us as a concern, or they didn't put us in sort of the first batch of cities that they highlighted as a concern, but I think it's because we have historically kept our streets pretty nice, so we aren't on their list. But their points stand that this is the key thing that everybody repeats now, is if you maintain your streets in good condition, it's actually much cheaper in the long run than letting them get to the point of having to reconstruct them more frequently. So we wanted to put our plan together to sort of take into account all those things and then know what the costs actually are so we can start planning for those costs.
Right.
And I just wanted to make the point that the typical truck maybe isn't always 80,000 pounds, but do we have a number of truckloads that the port puts out of the main gate? Because I think that's really important to understand. And then the other thing is, like, what about the special permitted loads? Do we have any data on that? When they have multi-axle heavy loads that require a special permit? And then what I would like to know is, like, how responsible is port truck traffic for the status of our roads, for the maintenance of our roads? I don't know if you know the answer to
To
that.
try to answer maybe a couple of those questions. So the data, we have the data from a study that we included, but that study was from 2021. So is that completely accurate right now? No, but it's probably the best data we have. And that was from it's listed on page 5 of the report. It's from the Ventura County Freight Corridor Study. That was what estimated the 1,600 daily truck trips at the main gate. So that's the data that we have at this point.
Daily?
Yes, daily truck trips.
7 days a week? Or
I assume so. It says average daily truck trips.
So, okay.
Okay. All right.
And we do have special transportation permits. We have data on that, and we issue those, and our PD enforces transportation permit.
Great.
So I can get you that data.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple of questions. As I was reading through this report, my first question came to, how much do we know is covered through revenue sharing agreements? Have we looked at that yet?
Yes, as far as we know that, what we
I'm
know.
talking about the port revenue sharing agreements.
Yes, so what we know, because the next item on the agenda is this year's revenue sharing report, and the revenue sharing totals $2.7 million to cover a variety of things. And so what we would know is that we could easily apply all of that credit towards the truck route maintenance. And that might be something we have to look at doing moving forward. But what we don't know is sort of in the past how that was, we've talked about changing financial systems and everything else. We don't know how in the past it was sort of divvied up, but I do expect like next year, if we do end up doing the $2.5 million reconstruction of Hueneme Road, that's going to be the bulk of the revenue sharing, paying for that. Unless, well, one of the other things that we didn't put in the report, but I know I've updated the council on, is we are trying to work with the port to really open up some opportunities for the city to qualify for grants that are focused towards ports because of the streets and the importance that those play in the role of transporting goods from the port. And so if we're able to do that together, and we have that opportunity to work with them on the Community Benefit Fund with a grant writer on a grant, if we can get some grant funding for that, then that would really help offset all of those costs of the street maintenance.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
The grant you were talking about, how much is the grant, and who is it through?
It's from the federal government, but Caltrans administers it.
Federal Highways or?
Yeah, Federal Highway
Oh, okay.
Association. But it's called the State Block, I can't remember.
That's okay, it's a federal grant, and it was for how much?
We were allowed to submit however much we needed. So there was different agencies that submitted. The port submitted for their electrical upgrade.
Do you know how much we requested?
We requested 3.5 million.
Oh, 3.5, okay, great, thanks. And I just want to say thank you for what you did on Channel Islands Boulevard. Every time I drive down it on my way home or running errands, I feel like I'm in Beverly Hills. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice job.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, so the current Port Hueneme Road, I see this picture here, the cracking, right? And simple crack sealing is not going to work for that specific, repair.
Right.
Are you going to do, like, in the interim, are you going to do an overlay where you just put like maybe 4, grind it down and put about 4 inches on that? Because that's just going to deteriorate fast.
So yeah, that's what it looked like in April. We actually tried a new product because we're always trying new things to make sure it doesn't fall apart. You can actually feel it when you drive it. We put down this this product called Rockland, so it's holding it together, but it's temporary. So we're doing that until we can, I guess, see if we're going to get this grant or not. So right now it does not look like that. That's just
That's what it looked like.
east of Ventura Road. So if you
So
drive
it's-
it, you can actually feel it though.
Yeah, so it looks a lot better than this now?
Oh yeah, it's sealed.
Okay.
We sealed it.
So the other question, so besides the corridor of trucking, are we actively prioritizing all other streets based on time since last reconstruction and/or material condition?
We're prioritizing our streets based on the material condition. We're assigning a numeric value to each street, and that's why we've prioritized and are preparing construction documents for certain streets. Surfside Village is next as a candidate. Hueneme Bay as well. That's what's supposed to be done this year.
So each road right now has a material condition scorecard.
It does.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just one question for me, I think. On section 6, Port Hueneme Road analysis, it speaks of May 2025 of the eastbound direction related to PCI is 30 to 35. That's very poor. And the westbound number is 50 to 55. Can you tell me a little bit about what that means as it relates to the traffic that's riding on it? What are some of the impacts or the effects of vehicles, trucks, cars riding on? If you were to tell me what are some of the characteristics of a 30 to 35 road, what would that be?
So this is a 30 to 35 road.
This is it here.
That's it. And we actually have some thoughts on why eastbound or westbound is performing much better than eastbound, because the trucks come empty as they come down westbound, and then they leave fully loaded. So that's why we're seeing more pavement deterioration on the westbound side.
Okay. And there's no impacts, unseen impacts with the road that we don't, if it's 30 to 35, is there something happening that we're not seeing?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So there's also base failure. That's the perfect image. So if we have base failure, we have to rip out the layer under the asphalt, and that's the rock. That's the structural layer that supports the road. So we think that this is definitely an indication of base failure. So everything under it is pretty much falling apart.
I have a comment and a question just for everybody to know. It comes out to 584,000 trucks from the port per year. It's a lot. But recently I noticed the county redid Hueneme Road. And are you familiar with that project, and what level of job was that? It appears that they overlaid the entire road. I didn't see them. I know that they took out really bad sections like this and filled it, and then they overlaid the whole road. Are you familiar with that project, and where does it fall on the scale of what we're trying to do?
I'm not too familiar. I'm only aware that that's supposed to be a temporary measure because they're looking to widen Hueneme Road in the near future. They actually applied for this grant to widen Hueneme Road and fund that. So I think that's temporary until they can.
Temporary meaning what, 5 years?
5 years, yeah.
Okay. It's nice though, by the way. I rode it yesterday. No holes, no bumps, no.
Okay, any other questions? We're going to move to public comments. Any public comments, Madam Clerk?
No public comments for this item.
Okay, great, thank you. And hold on a minute. Okay, we have before us a recommendation to receive and file the pavement management and truck route lifestyle cost analysis report and provide direction to staff regarding funding strategies and implementation of the proposed maintenance schedule. So I hear there's a grant that we're waiting for. It looks like you already have your maintenance schedule. Is there anything else that council would like to add, or can we move to a motion?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so just so we're aware too, MBVC does move a lot of heavy equipment between both bases. And again, when we do this grant ride, we need to make sure that MBVC is a cooperative partner within this grant to move, propel it forward. Because it is a three-way partnership.
Yeah, that's a good point. We did receive a letter of support from the Port, the Little League, when we submitted the grant, and some other organizations. Okay. I can't remember if we received something from the Navy.
Great. Did you have something, City Manager?
No.
Not?
No.
Okay, so this is a receiving file. Is there a motion to receive and file?
Motion to receive and file?
Second. Madam Clerk?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. Number 9, City Port Revenue Sharing Reporting. Over to you, City Manager.
Thank you. Yeah, and just to close that item out, so we'll continue to give updates as we get word back on some of the grants, and then
Thank you,
the timeline
Charles.
for those. So moving on to the next item, we gave a presentation a couple months back talking about a request from the port to update our reporting format for the revenue sharing reports. And I think pretty accurate to say, compared to some of the past year reports, there's a lot more detail on the projects that are being funded through the revenue sharing agreement. We have proceeded with providing the first report under this new format. I think we've talked about it kind of ad nauseum, but the existing agreements with the port have some conflicting requirements in the different versions, including even just the date of submittal of the reports. And some documents say September 1st, others say September 30th on items like that. So we are moving ahead. We tried to provide the reports prior to September 1st, but we want to still come through the process with the council and then ultimately with the port as well to provide, to just keep making sure that we provided the information that we said we would provide. And so this report is the first report in this new template. It's pretty detailed, and so I won't go item by item because you'll see there's many, but it's 4 pages of projects. I think very simply, I'll give a couple of examples. There's the 3 categories of what revenue sharing is supposed to be used for per the contract, and category 1 is capital improvements and infrastructure maintenance to city streets that receive a high degree of truck and or other vehicle traffic due to ingress and egress from the port so as to permit their free and full utilization to service port facilities. That's the actual language from the contract. And so we have several pages of projects that we have done related to that, and it includes things like pothole fixes and things like that, but even things maybe people wouldn't think of, like some of the landscaping to make sure that the trucks can see and not aren't hitting limbs on trees and things like that. So there's a lot of in that category. There's a lot of projects that we've done, a lot of maintenance we've done, and you'll see there on the right. Some of them are fairly low dollar amount because some of them are just simple things like that, and then there's others that are much more significant, like street resurfacing of Channel Islands Boulevard. That's $320,000. So we have a couple of pages of the streets types projects. And then category 2 was public safety services for special events held at the district and or that provide a public benefit to the district. So there's public safety related costs. Typically those are focused on, we try to break it out on the public safety costs that serve the port and the area surrounding the port, kind of that beat. And then category 3 is public improvements or programs located within a 2-mile radius of the port, including but not limited to payments made by the city for sand replenishment from the seawall to the city's public beaches and which provide a public benefit to the district. Again, that's language directly from the contract. And so those are more programs that are near, sort of within 2 miles of the port and are serve directly adjacent areas to the port. So we've provided that this data. It's much more detailed than prior years. I think it's kind of to the point we were just talking about. We just talked about next year. It might be that Hueneme Road reconstruction, if we can't get a grant, might just be the only item on the report, and it might be the total amount. But I think sort of in the regular rotation there'll probably be a lot of street maintenance and some public safety costs, and then another item here or two there that are added to the report. So we provided this to the port. We haven't heard any feedback yet, but we believe it's pretty in line with what they were looking for. So we'll proceed with taking it forward to the port. And the other open question was the port had also asked if we could go back to prior years and provide these reports. We talked about this a couple months ago, but the main concern from our staff perspective is because of a change in reporting and even just our finance programs and a change in staff since the beginning of the reporting requirement back in 2015. There's been significant change. So we had concerns about committing to providing accurate data that we did not have firsthand knowledge of. But in our recent conversation with the port at our last joint meeting, the port indicated that they understood that and that they were fine with a disclaimer of some sort, noting that those concerns and that we were providing as accurate information as we could, but that it would be understood that it would not be completely accurate, or may not be completely accurate. So with that, we are planning to proceed with moving forward and starting to provide the prior year reports in these formats. And then the last comment I'll make is we have implemented for the first time, 10 years into the agreement, we implemented a tracking code so we can actually track this into the future easier. And so between that and the fact that we're going to have significant street repair costs that will utilize the bulk of the funding, I think reporting moving into the future is going to be much easier. So it's just going back and reporting out on those prior years. That's probably going to be the next couple months that we'd work on. But we wanted to come back to council because we had at that time said that there were some open questions about how this would work. I think we believe that it's working as shown, and we are planning to move forward with that. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Council, any questions? No, down. Do you have questions? Go ahead, Councilmember Gama.
So looking at the category 3, when it comes to dredging, what's the cost that the city incurs with regards to dredging? Because my opinion is they should be included there. And I do understand that the Army Corps of Engineers bears the bulk of the cost, but don't we have to infuse some funds?
You know, it's this is one of those ones where it's hard to say what the intent was when that contract was signed, you know, decades ago, and what the thought of the cost was. But in reality, now it's really mostly federal funding used for the dredge. We definitely use some staff time on our end. Even to this day, our public works team still is, you know, coordinating with the Army Corps of Engineer and getting information back and forth to make sure that they are able to come back and get to work next month is what we're hearing and hoping for. So there could be some staff time and things like that that we can maybe track moving forward and try to include on the report, but we don't, to my knowledge, I haven't found any time going back that we had to like cut a check for, you know, related to the dredging project. I just haven't found that.
I think in 2015, I think it was a couple million, maybe $3 million because of the infrastructure
issue.
damage. Yeah. Then the final question I had, it slips me at this moment, but, oh yes. It seems to me that it might be a good idea just to look forward, and since both parties failed to provide necessary reporting, is there an effort to get agreement to, hey, let's just really get this working for now and into the future? Because it just seems like going back for 15 years and some of the things you described is like, I mean, that's a nightmare for any staff person to try and recreate something when they weren't even here.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's a question for the council, but I think for us, the main concern was having to spend an inordinate amount of time on, you know, confirming, you know, $1 here, $1 there, and really having to spend a significant amount of time on trying to get it accurate, and then at the end of the day, probably still not being able to confirm that it's completely accurate because it's 10-year-old data, and you know, and no one's here to confirm it from that time. But based on our discussion and the understanding that the port understands that and knows that that we'll do it to the best of our ability, from a staff perspective, we're fine with you know, working on that and trying to resolve it. I think the port now, just because the comment was made about both parties missing the reporting, the port has provided theirs now, and I'm a little jealous because all they have to do is give us their audits every year, so they were able to send one email and be in compliance. We have to actually create reports, so I wish we had gotten that end of the bargain, but but they have now submitted those a couple months back, and so they are also in compliance. So for us, like I said, it's ultimately up to the council, but for us as staff, I think our position is, we think with the way that we've laid it out and with the disclaimer as discussed, we can go back and provide those prior year reports.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager, for the progress you've made on reporting. This has come a long way since I came on council in capturing those things that are covered through, hopefully through the port. Do we know that these items here are considered capital improvements and infrastructure related? You know, I raised my eyebrows over the landscape, but then you explained it. But then I look at something like the storm system maintenance. How does that relate to
Storm,
the road?
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
road maintenance.
stormwater system maintenance is capital improvement projects. So the exact wording for the contract was capital improvement
Well, yeah,
and
but is it
infrastructure maintenance.
I guess I was thinking it had to have to do with a road.
Yeah, so the stormwaters are attached to the streets.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so so everything that we provided is something that should qualify. I guess that could be something we might hear back. But everything, we tried to make sure that everything that's included in the report qualifies. And there were some services that we provide that didn't fit into those three categories, so we didn't include them.
Okay, very good. And then in the future, can we see the percentage of what these numbers represent in the overall budget? For instance, you know, the Public Works, you know, what percentage of their budget is this amount for police, the 1,495,000, what percent that is of their budget, and the same for the other category?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, we can do that. And I think kind of going with that last report is, I think one of the things we're trying to educate people on is that these services are actually more expensive than most people think. And so, streets, streets-related projects, $600,000, but as we just talked about, the actual estimated cost of just the truck routes is in excess of $3 million, so the city's still bearing a significant portion of those costs. So,
Yeah. Have we gotten any feedback from the port on what we submitted for 2025?
Not yet, not at this time.
Okay. Now, I know there's 3 agreements, right? Of the 3 agreements, which one mentions the reporting?
So I'm going to, we asked the city attorney's office that question because we were reading the contract a little different than I think maybe it's been read in the past. So I'm going to ask the city attorney's office if that determination was made of the reporting requirement for which of the 3 years.
The reporting requirements are set out in the 1983 and the 1987 agreements. There is no separate reporting requirement in the 2015 settlement agreement.
Okay. Now, have we relayed that message to the port?
Not specifically.
Okay.
We, when we submitted the initial report and we were still trying to work on some of the last items and we wanted to get it submitted by September 1st, we did note that we believed we had met our full legal requirement by providing, it was like 90% of this list by September 1st. And then since then, we were able to find the additional, not find, but determine accurately the amounts of additional projects that could be included in this report. So we now have reported enough to cover those 3 items, but that could be something, perhaps on the prior year reports, just not knowing the answer yet of what exactly was charged in those years. It may be that in those years, they may have just tracked enough to cover the 1983 and 1987 agreement.
Okay.
So but we haven't had that discussion yet.
So how much staff time is this taking to get one report out?
I think the first report took a not insignificant amount of staff time because of trying to get a new format and get everybody used to it. I would estimate this first report probably took maybe 60 hours of staff time, primarily with the some public works department time, some police department time, some of my time, and some of our finance department's time. I think what our hope is we didn't get into the report because we haven't gone back yet, but our hope is as we start to go back that now that we kind of have the template worked out, that it would take less time to do each of those. But that's something that we can come back and update on if it turns out it is, you know, a significant amount of time that is going to be a challenge.
So the previous reports that were given to the port but weren't accepted as their definition of the agreement, can that report, do you think we're going to have enough data to report out?
I think on a couple of those years, we can take the report that was provided and kind of put it into this format relatively easily. There are a couple years where the format was just so different. In fact, I think there was 2 years that the reports essentially didn't have like dollar amounts for each project. It just said the total amount and then listed all the projects.
Oh, okay.
So like those 2 years we'll have to go back and go back through our system and see what we can find. But I'm hoping that there are the couple of years where it was just a different format and we can just tweak the format.
So we should be able to go back, probably spend about 60 hours of staff time per year.
I think it'll be less per year. And I'm hoping we can really get it fine-tuned and that by the end we're just able to just, you know, kind of find the key categories and track them. But I think what I would say is if we find that it's taking more time than that, we'll come back to council and have that conversation.
That's all I got.
Great. And city manager, with your comment earlier about creating a financial structure, then you'll be able to just kind of snap the moving forward.
Yeah, basically, you know, run a report, hit a button, and have it actually
Right.
run a report. So
Okay.
it's the goal. It's unfortunate it took 10 years to get to that point.
Right.
I think, and if you recall, a couple years back, we did the whole Tyler conversion, and part of that whole project was because the old system couldn't do these things. And so it's been a long process, maybe not the funnest process for a lot of us, but we now have that system in place in a way to track it.
Okay, great. I
One
have
more
some
question.
other question. Go ahead.
So if we're going to do a report for 10 years ago, are you going to adjust it for inflation? Are you going to express the report in today's dollars, or is the report going to be in yesteryear dollars?
Yeah, my intention would be that it's in yesteryear's dollars because it's it's the expenses that were charged to it, but it's also as a portion of the revenue shared that year, right? So if we, in other words, let's say 10 years ago it was $1.8 million revenue shared, then the projects would match up to that. So if we adjusted it for inflation, it wouldn't match up to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Kind of. But a dollar, if you research a dollar from 10 years ago and put it in today's report.
But the actual funding source isn't adjusted for inflation.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying. So the projects would be in those days costs because the total revenue shared were in those days dollars too.
Okay.
Do we have any public comments?
No public comments for this item.
Okay. Now, this is a receive and update. So let's go ahead and have the motion, and then we'll come back to comments, because I do have a couple of comments. Is there a motion to receive?
Move to receive.
Second.
Thank you. So we'll go back to discussion. The city manager, I think it's, council, I think it's important even for our historical, for our own history to have these reports that we can go back on. But I do not want the staff to be working on reports when they are to be working on city business.
Right.
And so they should be done as the time permits.
Okay.
That they be done. So please just make sure you're not overworking the staff and trying to come up with these backdated reports.
Got it.
Great. Any other comments?
I agree with that.
Okay, great. If no other comments, can we just take a vote, please, Madam Clerk?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. We'll now move to item 10, discuss prohibiting the use and sale of glue traps within the city of Port Hueneme. Staff, please present the report.
Yeah, now it's about as different of a topic as we could think of. A discussion on prohibiting the use and sale of glue traps within the city of Port Hueneme. We had the request at the August 18th council meeting to agendize a conversation about this item, or agendize this item for the council to consider giving direction to staff. We wanted to provide a little bit of information on what exactly we're talking about when we talk about this. So glue traps, you can see sort of the image there on the right, but glue traps are also called sticky boards or glue boards. They're made of cardboard, plastic, or wood with some glue or adhesive on them. They are produced for rodents and rodents, but also the smaller versions are for insects such as ants, flies, and cockroaches. And so the reason these have fallen out of favor and are now problematic, and why people have been advocating for the prohibition of these items is that they are thought to be inhumane because the animals get stuck to the glue trap and then suffer as compared to a normal trap that sort of instantly exterminates the animal. And so they had gotten fairly popular, but there are now conversations about prohibiting them in cities and other jurisdictions, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So the concerns from the advocates, proponents of the prohibition of the glue trap, concerns are usually the following. It's that they cause the prolonged and painful suffering because the trapped animals cannot escape and die slowly from starvation, dehydration, or suffocation. There's thought to be health risks from the exposure to urine and feces because the animals are still alive, stuck in that place, and that those health risks could then cause problems. Non-selective, which means that if you're trying to catch maybe a rat, you may end up catching something else, such as wildlife or a pet. And then multiple animals can be stuck at one time, which also causes issues. And so those are some of the concerns that advocates have raised when asking for the prohibition on glue traps. They've also noted that there are alternatives to glue traps, such as snap traps and electric traps. Again, those are thought to be more humane because they provide a quicker death, or a catch and release trap, which would allow for relocation of an animal. And so I think we heard this maybe from a speaker at some point, but there are some cities around us that have banned these. The first in Ventura County was Ojai, just over a couple years ago, that banned them. And then there are also some cities that are adopting policies, while not banning them for the public, they're adopting policies to not allow them in those agency facilities. So for example, a city saying we aren't going to use them ourselves in any of our buildings, something like that. So there's been a few different approaches. And then several countries, including England, Iceland, Ireland, and New Zealand, have also outlawed glue traps. So we wanted to provide that information. The item is on at the request of council. Council can discuss and direct staff to prepare an ordinance to return to discuss this. provide alternate direction or ultimately take no action. Council has the full list of options. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but it's on for council discussion and consideration.
Great. Council, do you have any questions?
I do.
We're going to come around for comments later, but if you have any questions.
So you're talking about creating an ordinance. What would be the, what would be the anticipated negligible impact on code enforcement's resources?
Yeah, that's it's a good question, and I should have probably mentioned, I think I maybe mentioned this at some point, that our understanding was that some of the other cities that have banned it, they do ban it, but they don't do proactive code enforcement. Essentially, similar to sort of like how we approached the styrofoam prohibition. You know, the city may send letters to the stores in the jurisdiction saying, reminder, glue traps aren't allowed, so don't sell glue traps. You know, for us, it'd be, you know, the hardware store and some places like that. But we wouldn't anticipate, and we haven't seen other cities that actually send code enforcement to people's houses to check on their traps or to cite people if they're using the traps. So that would be sort of what we would assume would be the approach, but obviously the council ultimately would decide that.
Got it. Thank you.
Councilmember Gama?
We're in questions or comments?
Questions.
Have we considered coming up with educational programming to help people minimize rat infestation? Because I know it's fairly controllable with some very simple actions.
We haven't considered, staff hasn't considered anything on this, really. It's the item is on for the council to consider. So that could be on the list there, the providing alternate direction, that could be an option. But there hasn't been any really staff analysis or recommendation at this point. It was just the information provided so the council could discuss it.
Do you have any questions?
I have no questions, just comments.
So it would only be Ace Hardware that would be affected.
Ralph's.
Or
Yeah, I have a feeling that probably some of the grocery stores in town may sell them as well. The hardware store is the one that jumps to mind. But if we were to do something, we'd probably go ahead and, you know, try to figure out what stores would have them, and we'd notify those stores. But I have a feeling that it's probably also our grocery stores in town that may have some of those traps. I'm not, I assume so, I'm not sure.
That's the only question.
I do have a question.
Okay,
now
go right ahead.
That now that you raised that, Councilman Lopez, if we decide to move forward with an ordinance, then perhaps we would want to include some educational, maybe a press release or information going out to the public or something on our website that says that these are these traps are illegal in Port Hueneme. Even if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's and pick one up, they're not legal to use in our city.
Yeah.
Would that be possible?
Yeah, if an ordinance was going to be prepared, we'd probably recommend that we also include education and outreach as part of that.
Thank you.
Has there been any incidents where someone is aware that this has happened in Port Hueneme?
Not to my knowledge.
Mine, yes.
Mayor, I have a question.
Right.
Yes.
What is the monetary value of staff time for creating the ordinance above normal duties?
So creating an ordinance, probably an easy estimate, and I'll ask if the city attorney disagrees with this, but, you know, easy estimate, maybe 20 to 40 hours of staff time to go through the whole process of, you know, researching it, drafting the ordinance, making sure the ordinance, that we've made sure that we know where it goes in the code and that we've drafted it correctly and that it works with the code, because sometimes you have to make sure that we have the penalties and things in place in other parts of the code. So I would estimate probably 20 to 40 hours on that. And yeah, the staff that are involved in drafting ordinances, their hourly rates are not on the lower end of the spectrum typically. So the cost.
City attorney, correct?
Yeah, so, easy example would be the city attorney, and people know how much like attorney's fees are. So, 20 to 40 hours of, for example, that staff time would be the estimated cost.
Yeah, so, and that would be using a template, perhaps, from, and language from another city like Ojai.
I would assume we'd start there, yeah. And
That would be cost effective.
it should be easier. The one caveat to that is that sometimes when we do look at other city codes, their code is structured so differently that what they've written that fits in their code wouldn't fit in ours.
Yeah.
So we just have to make sure it fits.
Okay, any other questions before we go to public comments?
Yes, so if you're looking at, you said 20 to 30 staff time, correct? And you're looking at approximately a billable rate of about $500 an hour for an attorney time?
Well, we aren't that high. I would, I would estimate, I think maybe closer to $200 an hour rate.
That's still about $7,500 to $8,000.
Okay. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
I don't have any in-person public comments, but I do have 3 written public comments. The first one is, Dear Port Hueneme City Council, please ban the use of glue traps in Port Hueneme. These traps are very inhumane, leaving intended and unintended animals to suffer long, slow deaths. There are many other more humane options available. Thank you for your consideration. Best regards, Linda Larson. And then the other one is from Jacob Shaw. Dear Mayor McQueen-Lejeune, Mayor Pro Tem Lopez, and council members, I'm writing on behalf of People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA, and our nearly 20,000 supporters in Ventura County, more than 500 of whom live in Port Hueneme, to express our strong support for a ban on the use and sale of glue traps. As you may know, glue traps, small boards coated with a sticky adhesive, are one of the cruelest methods of killing animals in existence today. When animals wander onto the surface of a glue trap, their limbs and faces often become stuck to the adhesive, and it can take days for them to die of blood loss, starvation, dehydration, or asphyxiation. Some animals become so terrified that they break bones or chew off their own limbs in a desperate effort to escape. For these reasons, banning glue traps has become a top priority for animal protection and wildlife conservation groups around the country. The Sierra Club, dozens of local SPCAs, and more than 100 wildlife rehabilitators and animal hospitals in nearly every state all support a ban on the use and sale of glue traps. These traps are also completely indiscriminate. Over the last decade, they have killed, injured, or permanently disabled members of at least 179 species, including dozens of federally protected birds, lizards, mice, rabbits, bats, chipmunks, squirrels, and even small cats and dogs. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warns the public not to use glue traps under any circumstance because they increase people's exposure to disease, and these devices are already banned in England, Iceland, Ireland, New Zealand, Scotland, Wales, much of Australia, Belgium, and India, as well as in West Hollywood, California, and Ojai, California. A ban on the use and sale of glue traps will demonstrate the city's commitment to preventing cruelty to animals and protecting public health. Thank you for your consideration, your leadership, and for all that you do to make Port Hueneme a safer and more compassionate city. Sincerely, Jacob Shaw. And then we have To Whom It May Concern. On behalf of my organization, Wild Care and Wildlife Hospitals Everywhere, I urge the council to introduce a ban on the sale and use of glue and sticky traps in the city of Port Hueneme. Glue traps are trays coated with sticky adhesive sold cheaply at hardware and other stores. They indiscriminately trap small animals of dozens of species and cause horrible suffering because the glue on the trap doesn't kill the animal. It is non-toxic. The sticky glue simply immobilizes the animal, forcing him to die slowly of thirst, hunger, and exposure. Animals will struggle in vain to escape the sticky mess, tearing out fur and feathers and causing horrible injuries, even broken bones, in their desperate attempts to escape. People are convinced to purchase glue traps by their inexpensive price and claims on the labels that the devices are safe, easy to use, and non-toxic. In the past 2 years alone, WildCare's Wildlife Hospital has admitted nearly 50 animals, including dozens of songbirds, squirrels, opossums, lizards, even a baby California quail painfully stuck to the glue traps. But nearly a third of glue trap victims admitted to WildCare are rodents, the intended victims. Even people who have set glue traps to eliminate nuisance rodents are shocked at the cruelty of the slow and agonizing death inflicted on a glue-trapped animal. Such cruelty is reason enough to ban glue traps. But in addition to being inhumane, glue traps are not effective at reducing rodent populations. A rodent problem can only be truly solved by removing what is attracting the rats or mice, usually food. Although the glue trap may capture a few rodents, only sealing entrance holes and removing attractants will permanently solve a nuisance rodent problem. Glue traps also present a health hazard that belies their claims of being safe and non-toxic. Trapped animals may remain alive for extended periods during which they can excrete bodily fluids, attract insects, and increase the likelihood of disease transmission. Far from providing a safe or sanitary solution, glue traps exacerbate the concerns they are deceptively marketed to address. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, discourage their use for these reasons. Other U.S. cities and countries around the world, including England, Iceland, Ireland, New Zealand, Scotland, and Wales, have already passed legislation banning the use and/or sale of glue traps on account of the cruelty they inflict on animals and the threat they pose to human health. Major retailers, including Big Lots, CVS, Target, and Walgreens, have removed glue traps from their shelves, and over 100 U.S. airports have stopped using glue traps, demonstrating that practical and humane solutions are achievable. We hope you will join us in the fight against these cruel and inhumane devices and introduce a ban on the sale and use of glue traps in Port Hueneme. Sincerely, Allison Hermans, Director of Communications and Advocacy at WildCare. And that concludes the written public comments.
Great, thank you. And we have before us some considerations. One is direct staff to prepare ordinance that prohibits the sale of use of glue traps within Port Hueneme. The next is provide alternate direction, and number 3 is to take no action. Is there a motion, or is there something else that a council member would like to propose or?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to direct staff to prepare an ordinance that prohibits the sale and use of glue traps within Port Hueneme, and prepare outreach and educational materials designating these as illegal, the glue traps illegal within our city.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? Or if not, is there another motion?
Can we have a discussion?
Yeah, that's what I'm interested in.
We can have a discussion. I asked if there was anything else. So is there, what else?
So my concern is that we're putting, first of all, anybody that, my opinion only, anybody that buys a glue trap for a rat or a mouse is like, I don't know, they may want to get checked because it's very, very cruel. I think we all understand that. I had we have environments in the city of Port Hueneme that support rat population. You know, the vines growing over walls, it's a perfect place for them to live. And then of course the food they're attracted to food. And so people that leave cat food, dog food outside, avocados that hit the ground. I mean, there's a number of things that create a colony of rats. And you know, I had an infestation of rats under a wood deck one time, and I caught like 24 rats with snap traps, and it was pretty gnarly. And a couple of them survived, and then you know, now I'm going to other I mean, it's just, so I would hope that we put our effort into educating our residents on how to minimize rat infestation, because once they have a food source, it's very hard to control them and get rid of them, other than using traps. And so I feel like, and I would hope that most people, I mean, I've never even considered using a glue trap. I just don't get it. So I would just like to see effort into helping residents understand how we could minimize rat infestations. I think there's a lot that residents can do. So.
Councilmember Perez?
Yes, I just don't see that it's good stewards of our finances to spend $10,000 in attorney time for an ordinance that's not enforceable for people to turn around and go to Oxnard, which does not have the same ordinance to buy if they really want to buy a glue trap. This kind of defeats the purpose.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so, this request to discuss this item and bring it before council came to me from the city of Ojai, from a city council member. And the idea was, to find a city that was environmentally concerned, which we are, I believe we are, and set a precedent, set an example for other cities in the county to follow suit. Now, I don't imagine any of you have come across an animal trapped in a glue trap, but I have, and it's very horrific to watch. It was a bird that turned up in my front yard. I found it walking along the path, and there is nothing you can do. That glue is so strong. There is nothing you can do to get that animal to remove it from the glue trap and to render it safe. It is horrific, and it's horrible, and it's cruel. And never before have we ever brought up the question of budgetary concerns when we want to pass an ordinance that is good for our environment. I think it's a small price to pay to save our wildlife and to be wildlife friendly in our community. And I think that I would really appreciate a second so that we can be one of those cities that people look to as leadership in protecting our environment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so my family owns a ranch in Somas, and I've lived there for 10 years. I can say these glue traps are very effective in controlling a small infestation. The alternatives could be very toxic, like bait stations. I had bait stations all over the ranch, and my dog got into it. He passed. So the other lethal bait stations are like the electrocutions, but they're only good for one use, and then you got to go reset it. When there's multiple like field mice, you need a lot. And I think each thing is inhumane. All of it is. And I don't know if this is going to work. I do believe that we should prepare an outreach literature just to advise our city residents on options. By us targeting one store to not sell, I don't think it's effective. But I do think that, giving our city residents the information to make the choice on their own is a viable step forward. But to restrict it, they're all inhumane, all of them.
Yeah, very well said. And I can tell you when I had my infestation that there was a couple that survived the snap, and then it was horrible. And then also I had a couple partners. We had a flower farm out in Somas, and the rats were eating our baby sunflowers. And so, we had to we experimented with the various types, and they're all inhumane. The poison is the worst, absolute worst, because the rat eats it, goes away and dies somewhere, and you don't even know where he is. And then you find it, a week later, and then there's the hantavirus and all the other environmental concerns that come with rats. So I think we should try to educate our community on how to best control rat populations, because it is controllable.
Education programs cost money too. So if it's an issue of cost, you have the cost of staff preparing the materials, the staff of making the materials, the cost of distributing materials, putting up on the website. So, you know, and there's many laws out there that we don't actually enforce. We expect our public to self-enforce in many, many cases. And I think that, you know, Ace Hardware is just one store. The other grocery stores, they can put other things on their shelves. But this is, I think it's a step in the right direction for a community that has a lot of birds and wildlife and squirrels and even cats roaming around. So it just seems to me that it's an ordinance. We've done ordinances like this before. You know, I think this is worth considering.
So to say that we should not use budgetary reasons to not do an ordinance because we've never had budgetary issues before. We now do. So now we have to be conscious of every penny that we spend and put it to good use and make sure that it's worth the money that we spend. And I have a fiduciary duty to make sure that we're spending money wisely, and I don't think this is one of those things. So.
Any other comments? So my comment is, and so you all probably have heard me say this at least a few times before when it comes to city ordinance. I have great issues with ordinances and policies that we are not going to enforce. I mean, why do we even have it on the books? And I understand being able to say that we have it, but for me, that's different from having an ordinance that you enforce.
Yeah, but if you go back and you
Okay,
look at all the
hold on.
ordinances that we don't enforce.
Yeah, I'm not finished.
we can't.
I'm not finished. And you made a comment about the city being environmentally concerned. I think that we are, but I also don't think that everything that comes up in the area of environmental protection that we have to have an ordinance about. I think we have to be wise about what we select to be ordinances, and we have to really, we have a couple. We just talked about the styrofoam, right? Do we even know who has styrofoam in our city? We don't even know that because we don't enforce it, and it makes it really.
Yet we passed an ordinance.
Exactly, and I'm saying now what I said then. To have ordinances that you don't enforce really makes no sense. Makes no sense to me. This is me. Makes no sense to me.
Well, then we should go
And
back
so-
and change all the ordinances that we have.
Now, are you, I didn't say anything the whole time, so please. And so, again, I think, like you said, that we are environmentally concerned and aware, but it doesn't mean that we have to pass ordinance about every environmental item that comes to the dais.
Okay, so.
So do you have another,
No,
motion?
does anybody else?
Yes,
I have
Go
a
ahead.
motion.
Okay, thank you.
I would make a motion to prepare an outreach literature program for pest, rodent control.
May I add one? Have that outreach discuss why it's important to control rodents. There's a hantavirus from the droppings and so forth, and provide suggestions. Because clearly, like I said, I think people's common sense, when if you're going to go rat trap shopping and you're standing there and you see the big snap trap and you see the poison and then you see the glue trap, I'm pretty sure most people are going to go with the conventional rat trap. And it's still disgusting. There's no way around it, right? So I think our focus should be on helping our residents understand how to control rats.
Yeah, I'd like to make an amendment if I can. Can I amend that so that the focus is on the actual topic, the glue traps?
Mm-hmm.
And then with that, we can roll in, because they use them for a lot of different things. We may be able to roll in some of the uses of the glue traps and maybe start from there. And I'm sure the staff and you can come up with something.
Yeah.
But if we talk about rodents, it's not just rodents that they use glue traps for, it's everything, right? They use them for
Flies and
roaches, bugs, a lot of the different things, different sizes, yeah.
Like the fly
So-
traps? You're
Can
talking
we
about the
further make
fly-
an
sticky fly
amendment
traps
to
as
your
well?
motion, please?
see that's.
This
wow,
is a
we
glue
didn't talk
trap.
about that.
That's a glue trap, though.
It is. So, Councilmember Hernandez says she has an amendment.
Yeah, and could we add the cost of what that outreach is going to be? So we can be more informed next time we have a request to pass an ordinance and we decide to go to education instead.
So we want the item to come back to council with that information, or?
No.
No.
Okay.
That's
If-
more
If you
work.
can create something, and so tell me, city manager, I know previously we had some information that came out in the bills, the
Yeah.
trash. Is that a way that we would communicate, or are you thinking about something different? Because we're talking about money here.
Yeah, so there are some low-cost ways we could do it. For example, a couple things would be, I think that like some brochures already exist. Even some of the organizations that spoke today probably have brochures on this. So, we can start with that and try to get see what already exists and see if that's usable. And then if that is great, if we have to create something or modify it a bit, we can do that. And then some of the free things we could do is put it in our newsletter, put it in on our social media pages. And
Water bill.
And our bill isn't free, but we could do it for low cost, just putting a simple like informational item in the bill. So that'd be a low cost path. And then there's other options that we could do that then get more significant, like things like printing up hundreds or thousands of brochures and things like that. So I think we could do the QR code. We've been using the QR codes a lot more. So we'll start. If that's approved, we would start with those items as a starting point, just simple education and outreach.
Okay.
And
All right.
the reasons why
Let's move on.
it's important to control the rodent population, I think is a good starting point.
Yeah, good. So, do we need to state the motion again, or you?
I think I got it.
Okay.
So motion to do education and outreach on the issue. So
Yeah, and that's
Okay,
all the
great.
roundabout is yes.
Great. Yeah, so, and no other discussion? Okay.
Did I get a second? Did I get a second?
No, you got a lot of amendments.
We got a lot of amendments, so,
So,
but it's not yours, it's
Yeah,
Councilman
no, it's
Hernandez.
yeah.
Yeah, so we got it. So, those in favor, you want to go take a roll call?
yes. So just to clarify, that was Mayor Pro Tem Lopez with the first, Councilmember Gama with the second.
No. That's got to be, we left yours a long time ago.
Oh, I just
We
made
have
the
the
amendment.
Like,
Yeah, but hers was the amendment, so it's the amendment.
Okay.
Pardon me? Well, that's what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Saying that it was her amendment that, and city manager just kind of summarized it, and then Councilmember Gama gave it a second.
Okay.
All right? All
Okay.
right, roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Gama.
Oh,
Councilmember.
vote,
Hernandez?
please, just.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. All right, and let's see. I think our last item is item number 11, designation of voting delegate and alternates for the 2025 League of California Cities Annual Conference. Staff, please present the report.
thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is just the annual item we do each year prior to the League of Cities Annual Conference, which is going to be held on October 8th through 10th this year in Long Beach. Each year we ask the council to appoint a voting delegate and up to 2 alternates to attend the conference and vote on behalf of the city council at the General Assembly. And the vote is on that last day, Friday, I think it's Friday, October 10th. The General Assembly is held and the votes are cast. And so this year, our records show that 2 council members are currently registered for the event, so they would probably be the 2 that would be considered, it's Councilmember Hernandez and Councilmember Gama, or if anybody else is planning to attend. But those are the two that we had record of. So with that, we recommend that council appoint the voting delegate and alternates for the 2025 League of Cities Annual Conference.
Any questions? Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Last year, I believe I did it. Do you have a record of who was the assigned?
I believe
delegate?
that is correct. Yeah.
All right. So maybe it's then Gama's turn to do it?
Is that something that
I
you're
was
interested?
going to say, I think it had been a rotation, right, between the two of you over the last few years, and I believe that was correct.
Is Mayor Pro Tem considering coming?
I will be in Top Gun Fallon.
What? Okay. No, it's fun. It really is a great conference. So
I would have,
Yeah.
October, I'm leaving October 7th.
sorry about that, but yeah, it's a great conference, a lot to learn, and get to meet a lot of great people. So, are you going to be at the end of the day? I mean, it's fine if you want to be the voting delegate, or I
No,
can.
I don't want to because you have to wait till the very end of the conference, the last day, and sometimes it takes a long time, and I can't stay late this time.
Okay. If approved, I'll stay late and vote.
And then would we want to appoint an alternate, or are you just?
Who else is going?
Okay, so just the voting delegate.
Okay.
Saves money.
Pressure. Pressure's on, Gama.
Give me my voting points. Do we need a motion, second, anything?
Move to
Yes.
approve?
Yes.
Second.
And then that would just also be that I can submit the form. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. So that concludes our items. We're going to go over to our city manager for your reports or comments.
Thank you. I have a couple of items. So we have a few items, some updates on some items. One is we're beginning, we wanted to let the public know, we'll be posting some information about this, but starting October 1st, we plan to have a temporary shift to our community development and counter hours. The idea, and it's being implemented at cities across the county, is having a shorter window of time where the department stays at the counter, but then it actually can provide more appointment-based times after a certain time, and the staff can then work on the projects and actually move projects forward outside of those hours. And so several cities and even actually the county of Ventura have moved to this and said that it's led to being more productive and effective. And so we have a couple of staff out right now, and so we're looking at doing this temporarily because of having a couple staff out, and then seeing how it works and if it works well. But we'll be starting on October 1st with a temporary shift to 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. and then appointments scheduled, available by appointment after that time from 1:30 to 5 p.m. And so we'll be, we're already posting that. We're already sharing that with sort of our frequent customers who come into City Hall often. So. Additionally, another big change coming up is that the city, as council's aware, joined the Clean Power Alliance last year. And it's hard to believe because they had said it was going to take, a year plus to get up and running. And somehow that's coming up. So October 2025 is when the first official changeover of Port Hueneme being in the Clean Power Alliance is taking effect. We had a meeting at Hueneme Bay last week, and we had asked the Clean Power Alliance to come out to a few of our events to get to know the community and provide information, but we specifically wanted to get out to Hueneme Bay because we were getting a lot of questions from residents at Hueneme Bay about the change. So we had a meeting, and it was well attended, and I think people got good information. I think the key thing is, I know people the one frustration we hear is people who think that it takes away they feel like they don't have a choice. And so one thing we're trying to remind people is you actually didn't have a choice before, and this is actually now giving you choices. But I think the fact that people are getting the default plan, I think that's maybe what's throwing people off. But people have multiple choices through the Clean Power Alliance now, and there's more information on those. And then if somebody really looks at everything and just doesn't feel like they want to make the change, they could still opt to back to their Southern California Edison plan. So this really does give more choices. It's just understanding that, I think. So that will be launching in October, and we'll keep trying to get the word out on that.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
So is there a very simple card that says because I'm a little confused too. I read the thing, I'm like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
But, how can we make it simple for someone that, some people are just averse to change.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of, to me, is a little hard on this one, is like, wait a minute, I don't want to change. Okay, then, well, you have to do this. So
That's probably the biggest concern we're hearing is, the idea of, and even Clean Power Alliance acknowledges this, is if everybody didn't have to get transitioned over and then opt out, it would probably be easier for some of those people to face. But it's just the way it works. It's the way that the whole system is set up. So that is the challenge. I think the last statistic I had is that it's something like 97% of people, once it goes into effect, 97% of people stay in it and realize that they don't need to opt out.
But don't they have slight increases in?
So we as the city of Port Hueneme chose the tier that should not have an increase.
Should not.
Yeah.
And they can even go lean power and go down.
And I think that's something that I think people hadn't heard that made an impression in some of our conversations is, yes, there's actually a tier lower that it actually would have a slight price decrease even. So, so there's really options. If you want to go full clean power, you can do that. Or if it's about saving the money right now, you can do that too.
Okay, and how do you do that?
So you call, and we have these flyers. So the short answer to your question is it's not a simple flyer because there's some fine print.
See, that's the problem. It looks really complicated.
But it does have the phone number that can be called where I think you can get simple answers. And it has it has all the answers. It's just there's a lot of questions and a lot of answers. So we're trying to help get those answers out. We actually have these flyers. We got them from Clean Power Alliance last week, and we put them here at City Hall.
It's not in our binder?
It's not in the binder, but we can get copies for everybody. Okay. And then we've been posting the information too. So that is going to be going into effect soon. And I think I have now been through it a couple of times, and we'll say that I think it's like the fear of the change, but then once it actually happens, it's almost like, oh, that's it. Like like it wasn't that big of a deal. So hopefully that's the reaction people have.
I may appear a little apprehensive, and I am, so I'll need a copy of that flyer.
All right. And then a couple other, I'll try to keep these quicker, but this week, Saturday, September 20th, is annual California Coastal Cleanup Day, and we will be out at 9 a.m. Near the Alaska Flight 261 Memorial for Cleanup Day. So we're inviting the public to come out and participate in California Coastal Cleanup Day this weekend, this Saturday. And then we have a couple recreation events coming up. We just wanted to let people know about Movie Night at Bolker Park on Saturday, September 20th, showing Mufasa. And then Touch a Truck coming up on Saturday, October 11th. With both of those have free admission, and Touch a Truck is at Hueneme Beach Park on the 11th. And then some upcoming items. The first, I know we posted this and got some feedback that people are excited that Sprouts has announced that they're going to be, they've notified us that they are planning to remodel and open in the former Big Lots location. And so our planning team is working with them now, trying to go through all the processes to get them ready to start that process. They have some improvements they want to do there, so we think it'll take them a little bit of time to do some of them. But a lot of the improvements are going to be really positive things that I think people will like. And then at the same time, what's going to be happening even sooner is, and this is good news, is that we have heard back from the Army Corps of Engineers that they are on track to start their dredge early October, which was really the best case scenario that we had at this point. And we actually are going to be meeting with them in the next week or two to really get them ready to go. And so the bad news is the promenade is going to be closed for a couple more weeks while we dredge, but the good news is we're going to have sand. So I think it's a worthy trade-off. So those are two more upcoming items. And then right now for the October 6th, 2025 agenda, we have 3 presentations scheduled: Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and then the Interface Children and Family Services is asked to do their kind of annual, I think maybe it's maybe every other year, but the 211 statistics and services update for Port Hueneme. And then we have scheduled the public hearing on that definition of the term motorized vehicles. That was a conversation a while back about motorized vehicles at the beach and the pier. So we have that public hearing, and then we have a couple of business items scheduled. Since we're talking about the beach and the pier, we were going to bring back the council request for the report on after-hours activity at the beach. I think it's more parking and things like that than on the beach, but we'll bring that back. We're planning to bring back the lot coverage options that we said we would do some research on and come back. And then I should have included this in our announcements, but we are working right now on some remediating some issues in the museum. And so we've been working on that the last couple of weeks. We have a placeholder for a potential item coming back to council if the issue it turns out to be a bigger issue than what we're hoping it is. And so we'll know that over the next couple of weeks, but that may be another item on the agenda. So we're remediating. We're hoping it's a small issue and it stays a small issue. So right now, those are the items planned for October 6th, and that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Questions?
I have a
Go
question.
ahead, Councilmember Hernandez and then Councilmember Rama.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for your report and all the good work you and staff are doing. I wanted to refer back to the item we passed at the last meeting regarding immigration resources, and we did direct staff to coordinate with the County of Ventura for training and information materials.
Mm-hmm.
And I later learned more about the California Values Act, SB 54, and AB 450, Immigration Worker Protection. Could those be also, I think you'll come across those in the training materials, but I just wanted to make sure you noted those 2 pieces of legislation that are now law.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we'll take a look. When we get those, we were going to sort of share those with council and see if everything was covered in those.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You have any questions for the city manager?
I think I heard it might rain Friday, Saturday night. So is that going to derail the movie? If it does rain.
Potentially.
Okay.
But I thought I had heard it's like a heat wave this week, so I hadn't heard it was going to rain.
Heat,
yet, so.
tropical rain now.
Okay. Yeah, I'll talk to our team, and if there is concern about that, we'll start letting people know what the plans are.
Yeah, and in regards to beach cleanup, we always say wind or rain, fog or shine, we're going to be out there.
Yeah.
Great. If nothing else, we'll move on to council members' reports and comments. Councilmember Perez?
I attended all my meetings, but I have nothing to report on.
I have a Beacon meeting this Friday, and is this council member comments, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say that violence of any kind is reprehensible, and I think that 99% of humanity view it as unconscionable. And whether it be the streets of Chicago, in a Catholic church, a school, a park, or a train, or here in Ventura County, the taking of a life through violence is just the worst thing anybody could do. And I know we are blessed in this community not to have to deal with this very often, but I just felt it necessary for me to say that violence is reprehensible, and I hope that our country can recover from all the deaths that have been occurring from gun violence. And just so you know, so far, June 2024 to May 2025, over 7,000 people in America killed. So yeah, I don't know what we could do as a council, but I think denouncing violence is really important.
I do. I was just looking at a letter coming from President Andrew Jiski from Cal State Channel Islands, where I sit on the site authority. We have a site authority meeting coming up on Monday, but what I wanted to share was news that they had lost $1 million in their Hispanic Heritage Program due to the clawbacks at the federal level. So here we are trying to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Week, and money's being pulled from our universities for programs that are of great value. SCAG is, I attended both SCAG meetings last week, and one of the takeaways I had is that they're talking a lot about the Olympics and doing some outreach for cities who are non-venues. And one of the things I noticed is that they were reaching out to cities who are non-venues in LA County, but they weren't reaching out to necessarily to cities outside the parameter. And we're definitely going to feel it. There's like 13 million people expected to converge on the city of Los Angeles during the Olympics. And so I think it's early enough in the game that we can probably do some things, look at some economic development initiatives that we can use during the Olympics to welcome people to our city. And there will be a website that SCAG is putting up, well, that not SCAG, but the organizers, the Olympic organizers will be putting up to share with cities on things that they can do. And I'm working with Supervisor Lopez to make sure that the committee working on this understands that there are other areas outside LA County who will be impacted and will need access to that, to those resources. I also attended the Clean Power Alliance meeting, and I just wanted to, the key takeaway there was there are monies available for nonprofits, $250,000 in grant money for Clean Power Alliance education and training, and anything related to Clean Power Alliance to Clean Power is fair game. In fact, Real Guppies received a grant from CPA. So if you know of any nonprofits out there, look under the Clean Power Alliance website, and the application, I believe, is due end of September. Let's see, what else do I have? I just wanted to also share that, ask for prayers and thoughts and prayers for Guillermo Ceja, who's coming home from the hospital. I think today, you know, he suffered, many of you may have heard, he suffered a brain aneurysm. Guillermo is the president of La Una, and he's got a strong family behind him, but he's still on the mend. So I'd like to ask the council's thoughts and prayers be sent to him and his family. Let's see, what else did I want to share? I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Yes, last week I did attend the Global Trade and Logistics class at the Port of Hueneme. They were hosting 30+ Oxnard Union High School district students, and it was a good way to see how the port is actually, you know, grooming our next future leaders. So I got to speak to the students and kind of see the makeup of how the class was formed through Oxnard Union. We did have Hueneme students representing, but it was a good mixture. It had Camarillo students, Oxnard High School, Pacifica, and so it was a good mix. And everybody wanted to be there and they wanted to learn. They're going over. They're basically competing for one paid internship for the port, and so it's very good competition there. One note: I will be out of town October 7th through the 19th, which is why I could not go. And that's it.
Okay, great, thank you. I attended the Mobility 21 conference over the weekend, Thursday and Friday. I came back on Saturday. Great event. We had a couple of our executive director from Ventura County Transportation Commission spoke on a panel. The current chair of VCTC spoke on a panel. Kristen Dekas was there and spoke on a panel. They had a tabling there. I was informed at the conference I'll be on a panel next year because I'll be the chair. I'm like, oh, that's how it works. Okay. Yeah, so excited about that. One of the things that Councilmember Hernandez mentioned about the goings on in LA, I didn't realize how much stuff was going to be happening in LA in the next couple of years leading up to Olympics and the Special Olympics. So just to give you an idea, in February of 2026 is the NBA All-Star Game. In June of 2026 is the U.S. Women's Open Championship. And June of 2026 at SoFi is the FIFA World Cup. February 2027 is the Super Bowl. 2027 in March is the NCAA Division Men's Basketball Tournament, and followed by the Olympics and the Special Olympics. So a lot of discussion about transportation at Mobility 21, and a lot of discussion about not moving as fast as is necessary to meet the 2028 deadlines because of the lack of current federal funding. So it's going to be interesting how, since you can't push those dates back, how that's going to work out for the transportation organizations, but of course wishing them all luck. I will be out of town starting Wednesday. I'll be coming back on Sunday, going on a quick vacation, and then I'll be out of the country October 8th through the 13th on vacation. So that's what I have, and those are my reports. So we'll move on to requests for future agenda items. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I would like to have a future agenda item to review the homeless liaison officer job description. Basically, what I'm kind of want to see what the official job description, if there is any reporting metrics, performance reports, weekly, monthly outreach routes, hotspot mapping, data and direct services provided. Just a clear transparency in any metrics that we have so that we could provide to the council and the public, just to assess whether the program meets its objectives and if it needs adjustments or additional resources.
Second. Second. All right. Madam Clerk?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great. Two items that came up tonight, the JPIA air pollution.
I had one more.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished.
Oh, no, okay.
Go ahead.
So we had discussed in the joint meeting, and we were talking about sand replenishment, and you know we have the CBF fund, and it's what I'm thinking is we should actually entertain the Port of Hueneme entry as how it redirects the sand and why we got to replenish our beach. We should actually look at maybe funding a engineer to do a survey of what it would be like to redirect that opening so that sand can actually flow naturally into the beach. And this would be a good CBF related item. So I guess the motion would be to make a motion to look at an engineering report on the entryway to the port.
Paid for by the CBF?
I got a question for the city attorney. Can we discuss, because I think what Mayor Pro Tem's asking for is already addressed in Beacon, with Beacon. And I think having a presentation by Beacon.
We did discuss that. If Beacon can present, we want an understanding if that can be done.
I'll second it.
Yeah, but I know, but see how we just got into discussion and it's.
No discussion.
Okay, well, let's say no discussion, but we did talk last meeting about when someone, and we've had issues with this before, someone would say, oh, I want to do this, and we forward it, and then the staff report comes back, and it's not what we thought it was going to be. So last meeting, I don't know if y'all remember, we said we at least need to know understand what he's talking about, so that the staff report can be what he's really asking for. You know what I mean? And so I think we can ask at that level, but we shouldn't be having a discussion.
I thought it was pretty clear.
Okay.
I have something I would like to add, but again, I feel like we're
So
discussing.
we've got a second. We've got a second, so let's take a vote. If it doesn't pass, we'll go on.
Can we restate the motion? 'Cause
It's already received a second, so it's already.
I want to understand what the motion is.
And sorry, but I was going to ask the same, but so it's for the Beacon presentation?
No.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically, I would like to make a motion that we use staff to look at ways to maybe re-engineer the port entry for viable solutions to the sand replenishment of our Port Hueneme Beach.
Could it be, could you rephrase it to look at not just the.
Solutions?
Not the port entryway, but look at alternate solutions for reinforcing our beaches and protecting our beaches from sand erosion? Because there might be other solutions.
Yeah, but thus the topic, because I'm not sure that's what you said.
Well, I think it's, because when you look at, not to get into discussion, but it's the entryway to the port that causes the sand to not, it redirects that to these sand bunkers, right?
Okay, I'll withdraw my amendment then, my request for amendment.
I have a question for discussion.
Yeah.
You want city staff to do that?
Well, I want a report on if there's any viable solutions to, other than the U.S. Army engineers coming in and replenishing sand. Are there any other viable solutions to replenish that beach?
Mr. City Manager, do we have anybody on staff that can do that?
No, and I was going to suggest, I think that's where I had heard the original request was to talk about whether a CBF, the council would want a CBF project on this.
That's what I heard the
Yeah,
first time.
versus us hiring an engineer to do that is a very different request. So I
Then
think
I would add that I think Beacon could come and fulfill the request with a update on what they've been doing for the last few years, so.
So let me bring it back for just a second. So there's a motion on the floor. The second got rescinded. Is there a second? So we can move on to a different topic.
Can you restate your motion? Because it changed from the first time you.
Okay, so I want to make a motion that we can get a brief from Beacon for alternate solutions for beach replenishment of the sand.
Second, okay. Gama seconded that,
Okay.
okay?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Great, thank you. So, is that what your last item?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. A topic came up earlier by our Mayor Pro Tem. He asked a question about JPIA air pollution, or was that you? Someone asked that
The air
question
pollution, yeah.
for explanation of that, I believe.
Yeah.
And then the other one, former Mayor Martinez asked for a REACH agenda item for the K-9 and the $42,000 presentation to the council, to the police.
So I would like, Mayor, for that.
Okay, can I start from, I should have said air pollution. Is there a motion, is there a second?
I thought it was just a staff follow-up. I don't think
Is
it
it a staff follow-up?
requires, that can be handled in a city manager report.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a
Is that-
separate
is that good?
agenda item.
Okay, great, thank you.
So regarding the REACH money, I would like to have a report from REACH. I need further information as to their planning for future fundraising for continuous support of the K-9. Do they plan that? Because the current money right now is not enough to fully, fund the entire that K-9 program. So
That
I
would
would like
come
to know
from
what their
PD.
future plans are for continuous fundraising to make sure that program is fully funded, because we don't have a budget issue. We have a budget issue right now. Who can't even look at that for at least 18 months before we can even think about what our next budget's going to look like.
So perhaps a report where, I think there are some questions about like, what is REACH looking for? What are they expecting? Are there any conditions attached to a donation?
Maybe a foundation.
So-
Can we even receive money like that?
Yeah, so, we can bring something that answers, or we try to get those answers, and then also we ask our police department to explain how it would work and if it's recommended.
Right.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
all right.
Is there a second? Aye.
Sorry, all in favor? All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, that is the last item on the agenda. If there's nothing else, our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, October 6th at 6:30. The meeting is now adjourned, and the time is 9:15.